Hey everyone, and yeah, I'm back. I am back for the best part of the week. I have had practically no voice whatsoever. So when we saw a humongous patch drop for Eve Echoes with literal walls of text, I was like, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to be able to read all of this. Even when I was watching Jubileus's video yesterday, I was like, if I even try to do this, I'll get halfway through and then I'll lose my voice and we'll be back to square one. So I figured, let's try it today. Let's try it today. I reckon my voice is back enough to be able to go through it. Now, same as usual, I'm not going to be going through it all verbatim because if we zoom out, as we can see right here as I'm playing around on OBS, that's a lot of text. That's a lot of text. And that's a lot of times that I'm going to lose my voice reading all of that text. So we're going to go through the highlights. So yeah, before I get started, if you find these things helpful, maybe you're dyslexic like me and really struggle with these walls of text, then hit that subscribe button and yeah, we'll get into it. So first and foremost, Nanocore Precise Disassembling Service. So this is just going to tell you precisely how much materials you are getting back when you are disassembling your nanocore. There's a fair bit more to it than that, but again, you can read it if you want. The patch notes are up and available on the Eve Echoes website. You can see the link up at the top. So moving on, we have Intelligent Nanocore Repackaging. This is one that people have been asking for quite a long time now. So if you have made one of your nanocores gold, and you didn't like that particular nanocore, maybe you did it as an experiment and you want the resources back and you presumed that you could repackage it like any other nanocore. Now you can. Now you can. Of course, same as usual, you're not going to get all of your resources back. But it's better than nothing. It's better than just writing off that nanocore. Me personally, I upgraded to gold an Apocalypse Clear Sky nanocore, before then realising that I could still get my hands on the Thermomagnetic Stormcore 2s, which, for Dormant Realm 2s, is the most important one. So, yeah, bonus points for all of us. Yang Young Capital Ship Remote Armour System Refactoring. If you have a Lucent Moon, this'll be relevant to you. I'm not going to go into the details on this one. Heavy Fighter Siege Modification System. This is for supercarriers, so I suspect that's not going to apply to most of us. Tsunami Disruptive Lance. If you're one of those people that managed to get a Lance Dreadnought, I've forgotten what they're called now. It'll come back to me, like the Bane, for example. If you manage to get one of those Lancers, then you have a new type of Doomsday weapon available to you. And it's at this point I realise I need to shift my chair a little bit. I'm experimenting with a new setup, as you can see up on screen at the moment. And yeah, I am sat down. Yeah, I have to project my voice more when I'm stood up. So for the moment, it's a sitting down job. So yeah, we have a new Disruptive Lance that, yeah, increases the firing capabilities while moving, enhances power and range, but requires more energy. So it's better in every single way, basically. Just needs more power to run it, which is going to be interesting. You can get that by manufacturing or getting it from the store. We're going to see a lot of references to the store in this particular patch, by the way. We have the Tactical Defense Neuro Response Implant. Now, I skim-read through all of this earlier. It improves your defensive capabilities in a range of areas. It can boost your stats in certain areas, make it so that you take less damage from certain weapons or have a chance to completely avoid taking damage from certain weapons. So that can come in quite handy. It also appears to be passive in that you don't activate the implant, but it runs alongside all of your other implants, whichever one you choose to be active. And it looks like it's not going to be the only one that's passive. Just one sec, guys. As I was saying, this one seems to run, if I'm understanding this correctly, in the background, alongside whichever implant you've got running at the moment. And it's not going to be the only one. There's going to be more in the future. As we can see, depending on the placement location, this implant can be activated concurrently with the 16 existing types of active cybernetic implants. It also can't run general units, but I think that's reasonable, not being able to have general units on an implant that you can have in addition to any of the others. I mean, tanking in this game is getting a serious buff from this by the look of it. So moving on, we have needlejack filaments. There's always, like with every patch we've had recently, there's been something about needlejack filaments. In this case, signal 10 and noise 10, which can be used by up to 10 people. I think for the most part, most of the needlejacks we've seen so far have been for 4 or 5 players, or just the one. So we can now have fleets of 10 jumping around, which is going to be quite interesting because now those Black Ops ships that can pop up anywhere in your sovereignty system, the fleet's going to be a lot bigger than it was now. It's going to be a lot bigger. So yeah, you expect to see fleets of 10 roaming around your nullsec systems just with a click of a finger without any warning. That's going to be fun. We have new arrivals. Let's have a look. So we've got the new disruptive lance, as was mentioned earlier. This looks like just mostly store items. This is just mostly store items. One thing people do quite like the look of in this particular store this time around. And you know what? I'm going to switch, if I can press the right key, to the store in the game itself. As I said, I'm playing around with this setup at the moment on OBS, trying to cut down again on the amount of editing that I've got to do. So as we can see in the store at the moment, we have quite a few things going on. So if you want to get yourself a illusionary ghost nanocore or a cyber X nanocore for a faction battleship, for example, you can go to the store and get one. 2,880 aurum, and of course we've got them for cruisers, a select number of frigates. I think in this case it's interceptors and stealth bombers, with 1 nanocore being allocated to each. And of course, same as usual, we've got our interstellar capital ship box here. Still got a cough apparently. I've still got a cough. So let's carry on. Same as usual, quite expensive on the aurum front. But if we go back across to the patch notes, the position of which I lost whilst I was pressing random keys on my keyboard, there is a mention of a 50% discount coupon, which is limited to 2 per player, enabling purchases of at a more attractive price. Historically, these coupons you've had to go to fellow content creators that are official, such as Taylor Rick or Damon Zell, Rambo, and so on, to get these coupons, and they'd normally use some kind of competition to get them. But in this particular case, if you want to get the coupons, you head over to regular sales, ISK Exchange Store, and right here, highlighted right now by my left hand, is the 50% off coupon. Yeah, 5 billion ISK. If you've got a plentiful sum of ISK to spend, you can use that to half the cost of pretty much whatever you want out of that storefront. Now, of course, you don't have to just get a nanocore from there, one of the event exclusives. You can go over to whichever... I can never remember which area I'm meant to be looking. Is it... Here we go. Implant development. If you head over to tongue twister. If you head over to implant development, you'll notice that we have quite a few option boxes going up for sale. And it is my understanding, whilst I don't actually have a coupon to apply at the moment, this is going exclusively what I've seen in texts, in-game chat. You can get these for 50% off if you spend that 5 billion ISK. Is it worth 5 billion ISK plus 1,250 aurum for this advanced option implant? That's up to you. That's up to you. I personally won't be going down that route. Now, does it have the new implant in there? I don't believe it does, but I've already forgotten what the name of the implant is. I'm good like that, aren't I? I'm really good like that. Let's have a quick look. So it's called the Tactical Defense Neural Response. So if I just have a look, tactical. There's a... Nope, that's tactical missiles. And that's aerospace tactics. I am not seeing it. And we'll just check the other box while we're at it with the Elite Implant Supply Cache. So we'll just pop into there and see, does it have... It doesn't. So it doesn't appear that the new implant is available in this particular box. Unless I'm being an idiot. Unless I'm being an idiot and my dyslexia has gotten the best of me here. But in the meantime, we will carry on down the patch notes, because this is already going to be a long video. We're already 10 minutes in and I barely feel like we've actually touched the patch notes. Yeah, as I said, there's a reason why I'm not going through it all verbatim. Yeah. My lungs are starting to hurt already from the amount of coughing I've done recently. Talking doesn't always help. So, we have the Interstellar Bazaar. We've spoke about that, we've taken a quick glance at it. Let's move along. We have implants now available. Yep, we've just covered that one. We do not need to carry on. The ISK Exchange Store, we covered that briefly, but we're going to go back to it ever so quickly. So, over in the ISK Exchange Store, and this is what I quite like, we now have a dedicated storefront for unloading all of our ISK in the game. So, the developers have given us another ISK sync. The more ISK syncs we have, the better, because it takes pressure off of Plex prices. Bit by bit, we're slowly working there. If I recall, Plex prices probably gone up by the tiniest fraction again. So at least it's not going up at the maximum rates that it could. But we need more ISK syncs, and whilst the prices are a little bit over the top, it's a step in the right direction. I mean, 200 million ISK for one of those blue balls that you need 20 of to be able to re-roll a stat with a nanocore. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever be buying one of them. Because what you're talking 2 bill... You're talking 4 billion ISK just to re-roll an attribute. Yeah, that's not something that I'd be willing to do, me personally. But we have other things. We have our Amethyst cones, they're still there. You can get, I believe it's 10 or 20. I've already bought them out, there's no way of me checking there. You can get them for 10 mil and you can get them for 20 mil. You can only buy so many at 10 mil before you have to wait for the weekly reset. Yeah, you can get your skill points, etc, etc. Let's move along, shall we? Let's move along. We've spoken plenty enough about that. So, moving on. Daily Special Points Exchange Store new arrivals. Unless you're one of those people that goes into this particular store, and I might as well click across ever so quickly. If you're one of the people that buys things from this particular page, then this will be relevant to you. The items that are now in that particular rewards storefront. Me personally, I've never bought anything from there. I have never bought anything from there. But those are now the items up on screen that you can get. Again, I don't know what's changed. It's probably those sleepers. It's probably just those sleeper nanocores that was referred to in the patch notes. So moving back to the patch notes, we have structure warfare balance updates. And of course, yeah, this is the whole balance update section. Due to increased threats, the Waste Seeker capital ship fleet has withdrawn from the front lines. Yeah. If you've been following the Echoes of New Eden podcast, this is something that Taylor Rick referred to. In the new region, the Ethereum Reach, the Waste Seeker capital ship fleet is absolutely brutal. And I believe this is the fleet that's responsible for shooting at structures within Ethereum Reach. It is incredibly damn near impossible to actually protect your system against the NPCs. They are just that brutal. So it looks like now that they've toned it back a bit. They've actually made it possible, presumably, to be able to defend a citadel in Ethereum Reach. So we'll see if this actually works. We'll see if more citadels get erected as a result of this. Who knows, too many might get erected and we might end up having to buff those fleets all over again. When operating a Capsuleer outpost, it is not possible to use implants. I didn't know that it was. Have I been missing out? Was I missing out all the way through the war when I had to defend my outposts? Deary me. Let's carry on. So, Capsuleer outpost, minimum maintenance time reduced from 15 minutes to 12 minutes. So, you have to defend your Capsuleer outpost for 3 minutes less. That's okay, that's reasonable. Corporation Frontline Outposts, I believe that's Ethereum Reach again. Corporation Tech. If these are relevant to you, feel free to actually read them. The Ansiblex Stargate is adjusted to be visible across the entire system. That's one thing I really hate about the Ansiblex Stargate is when you jump in between systems using the player-built Stargates, you have to get within a certain range. I don't know if it's 3 AU or if it's 200,000 kilometers. I don't know what the exact number is, but it doesn't appear on your overview by default. You have to get in within range. So normally what you see players doing is warping directly to the Citadel so that the Stargate then pops up on the overview and then warping to the Stargate. It's handy to be able to warp straight to it. I've been using bookmarks so far to get me straight to the Stargate because of this very reason. So yeah, this is a bonus. I'm not going to be complaining here. And star charts now include a filter to display all the Ansiblex Stargates in the universe, colour-coded based on corporation relations. I'm going to have a look at that one right now. I'm going to look at that one. This is another one of those patch notes that completely passed my notice in the game. Because, of course, there's that many things in this patch. There's that many things. So we're going to have a look at it now. And at the very top, we can see Ansiblex Stargate. So let's click that. I presume that's all I need to do. Does it actually show us the paths that they take? If they do, I'm probably going to get in a bit of trouble with Taylor Rick. So, I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything. I know that there are Ansiblex Stargates all over this region because it's the region I'm based in. But I'm not seeing it. I am not seeing these Ansiblex. Only geography. What was that? Only geography and statistics security level display. Okay. I think this might be a little bit broken, guys. I think this might be a little bit broken because I can't actually get it to show me the Ansiblex Stargates. Oh well, give it another 2 weeks. It'll probably get patched, or somebody will tell me that I'm doing something completely wrong in the comment section below. We shall soon see. Oh, hello. Okay, it works. It works. You don't have to write in the comment section that I'm being a fool, because I've just figured out that I am being a fool. And, yeah, okay. We no longer need to rely on Discord or in-game chat to remind ourselves where our own Ansiblex Stargates actually lead. And just so that I don't get in trouble for exclusively advertising Silence Ansiblex Stargate network, let's zoom in somewhere else. In fact, let's go to where I started in the game. Let's go to Quirius. Now, if there's ever some kind of a quiz time on Hale's show when he gets around to finally being able to do Duo Omega, when he finally becomes official, it might be handy to know that I started in Quirius, because that will probably come up in a question. But as we can see down in Quirius, we have a bunch of Ansiblex Stargates that tells us exactly where they all are and where they all lead. So if you're planning an attack on enemy systems, you no longer need a spy within the corporation to map out the ancillary Stargates. Just go on the map. Just go on the map. I quite like this. Anything to encourage further conflict is always a good thing in a game like Eve Echoes. So, I like that one. I like that one. Let's move back to the patch notes. So, ships. A bunch of ships have had adjustments, like the Praxis has gotten more effective hit points, sensor strength, and its insurance points have been reduced. Okay, so a chance that people might actually use the Praxis. A chance. I can't remember actually seeing one undock, apart from when they were first brand new and F1 was actually trying to figure out if they were any good. Let's grab a quick drink. What else have we got? The Barghest, we've got Stealth Bombers. This is a good one. Stealth Bombers, like Tech 1 and 2s. Not Tech 1 and 2s, what am I saying? Bomber 2s and Bomber 3s. They've had a reduction in high slots, but an increase in damage. I'm not going to do the math ever so quickly right now to figure out if it's actually a damage buff or damage debuff? Let me know in the comments section. As I said, this is going to be a really long video. I can't spend too long on minor details. Sign C. Removed warp speed bonus. I never understood warp speed bonuses because it wasn't affected by skills. It didn't scale up and up and up. It was just there. Do you get what I'm saying? It was just there. What's the point in having a plus 100% warp speed bonus when you could have just increased the ship's default warp speed? It makes sense when there's a skill tied in, because your warp speed is variable then. Yeah. So that's just something that's always amused me. It's always amused me. Chimera and Archon, light fighter damage increase, that's nice. Same again with the Nidhogger and Thanatos. So if you're a carrier pilot, you've got more DPS out of your ships. Speaking of, because we're going to skip ahead now to ship modes, and this is one thing I quite like. What's happened with the carriers? And that's all of them, including the Sign C, is my understanding. I've not actually gotten into a Sign C to check, so I don't even know if the Sign C had this sensor mode. But what's happened here is the carriers have got +1 mid-slot. They've had their base scan resolution doubled, and their special mode, their sensor lock mode, whatever you want to call it, reduced. Not reduced, removed completely, gone, kapoosh. And it's been replaced with a module. Now, what I like about this is if you're one of those players that doesn't use that instant lock mode on your carrier, maybe you weren't comfortable with it being locked down and not being able to warp away for a couple of minutes, so you never used it. In that case, you've just gained yourself faster scan resolution and a mid-slot. If you did actively use it, then all you've got to do is pop onto the market, buy it, which is currently selling for 200 million ISK. Just buy that module, put it back in, you've got your ability back, and you've still got double the scan resolution because it's been increased by 100%. So I quite like this, and it's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. Is Netease going to bit by bit start removing all of these modes from the ships and replacing them with modules? That's one thing I want to see, because all of a sudden your Apocalypse Striker might not always have the same role, because if you have to use up, say, a low slot for the Striker module, you might find a new use for that low slot, might you? Again, we're speculating here, but this is an interesting precedent, removing an actual mode and replacing it with a module, whilst as a whole buffing the ship, because now you've got more mid-slots. If you're not using that mode to start with, you can do more with that ship. You can apply more warp scramblers or neutralizers or whatever it is that you wanted more of. So yeah, let's move onwards. Increased the default market valuation for items such as Plex, Burst Projector, Warp Core Stabilizers, and Inertia Stabilizers. What? I mean, that's under modules. What? I have no idea what is going on there. Increase the default market valuation for items such as Plex, Burst Projectors, Warp Core Stabilizers, and so on. I honestly don't know what's going there. What is going on there? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think they're talking about? Especially with Plex, because it's not even a module. Oh well. Sentry drones adjusted to be able to launch attacks against targets outside of its range. I believe this is referring to drone control range. And I saw evidence of this earlier today when I was ratting in my Apocalypse. Because I'm sat at about 110 away from the enemy ships. I've got no drone rigs whatsoever, but I have sentries. Historically, all those sentries have been good for... Just another drink of water. Historically, all those sentries have been good for is shooting down any frigates that get within, say, 50 kilometres. That's it. Because anything beyond that range, or whatever the range happens to be, they just wouldn't be able to reach because of drone control range. But today, I noticed that they were actually shooting. I was getting damage ticks of 0, mind, but they were shooting. They were actually able to fire in the direction of something that was 110 kilometres away. So, sentry drones, if you can actually get the optimal range up to that 100 kilometres, sorted. The drone control range now refers to the actual range that the drone is from you, not the target, when it comes to sentries. So I quite like that. A few other things to do with tracking speed for drones and turrets, reload time for fighters, some stuff for the Yang Young stuff. We're going to skip past it, but one thing I do like is the cloaking device, and this is probably the number one, most important thing in this patch. The one thing that will affect the majority of the players in this game. Cloaking. So, cloaking device. Tech level restrictions removed. Interesting. We're seeing a little bit of that going on at the moment. Remember, look at what happened with the Mark 9 weapons. They became known as prototype weapons, with Netease saying that the tech level restrictions had been removed from them. So bit by bit, we're seeing tech levels being made less and less important to players, so that newer players have a wider range of things they can engage with when they start. That's something we've been calling for a while, so it's nice to see this gradual process. So anyway, cloaking device, it's not just the tech level restrictions. That's nothing. That's not the bit that's got everybody, with their eyes open. It is this bit. Now consumes 100 fuel every 5 seconds, and the feature remains the same. Cloaks now need fuel. That is the hot take. That is the headline for this entire video. Cloaks now need fuel. So have you ever gotten frustrated? You've logged into the game and there's just one neutral or red in system. They've been in system for the past 5 days, just cloaked up, just waiting for something, just watching and taking notes. You've been completely unable to move whatever top secret thing you wanted to move past it without it noticing, and you've just been wanting to get it killed. But it's not a SOV system, so you can't remove it, you can't decloak it in any sense of the word. Now it needs to fly away to refuel. It can't be there indefinitely. And yes, some people have said, okay, it's using fuel, they're just going to script it so that they can come back again, or maybe they're just going to use scripts with pods. They're just going to use pods. Either way, it's a step in the right direction. I am not complaining about this one. So let's head back, and I really need to enable the numlock on my keyboard, because every time I toggle between scenes on here, this moves around. Anyway, where were we? Ship modes we've done, modules we've done, the market. So we have a few things going on here. To promote market transactions, blah blah blah. The following adjustments have been implemented to the market. Initial brokers handling fees in sales taxes adjusted from 8% and 15% to 1% and 20%. Okay. Initial brokers handling fee, sales tax adjusted. Handling fee and sales tax adjusted. That's a weird one. So one number's gone up and the other one's gone down. I might end up doing a video on that one. I'm not going to try and understand it right now because my math brain isn't properly screwed in place yet. So we're going to cover this one in a later video just to see what impact it'll actually have. Accounting no longer reduces the listing fee, with sales tax adjusted from 5% to 8%. So there's a lot going on in this update for market traders by the looks of it. Quite a few changes. That Achieved, I would not be surprised if Achieved is the first person to put a video up to do with the changes to market trading, because that is kind of his thing. That's where he gets most of his ISK from, is my understanding. When listing a capital ship on the market, the price can only be set within the range of 60 to 150% of the market's material costs estimation. Otherwise, the market will refuse to list it. We're towards the end now, guys. Anyway, we're towards the end. Construction. So decryptors. You can read through them if decryptors have any relevance to you whatsoever. Skill chip manufacturing, optimizations, and a bunch of bug fixes. Yeah, so there is a lot going on with this patch, and I know I only glossed over what is truly in this patch. I only glossed over it because, again, we're a bit short on time. I'm a bit short on my voice. I can already feel it starting to go. Hence me constantly going for the water and trying to avoid coughing. But yeah, a lot going on in this patch. Now, hopefully, assuming that these lights carry on working, hopefully I should be back up again doing the usual Market Watch video tomorrow. Video should be going up at the usual time, presuming this hasn't completely ruined my voice. But what did you like in this particular patch anyway? What got you most interested or excited or whatever it may be? For me, it's the slow removal of the tech systems, as we saw with the cloak. Cloaks actually needing fuel, something that's been highly requested by a number of players over the years. And what was the other one? The removing of special modes from ships and replacing them with extra slots and the option to get that mode back with modules. Those are the three things that stand out to me the most. Because it kind of shows some form of progress in the game. The game is still evolving. It's not stagnant. But anyway, I'm going to cut the ramble there because my voice is nearly gone. Thanks again for watching, everyone. And if you want me to carry on losing my voice in future videos, feel free to hit that subscribe button as we slowly inch our way to 1,000. And until the next video, guys, fly casual. Try not to burp there.